What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Andrew Marlowe Artist. Welcome back to the studio. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at Andrew Marlowe Artist. Please like this video and subscribe for more awesome art videos. So I'm super excited to be making this art book video today. I've been thinking about making this video for a while. It was actually inspired by a video made by Andrew Tischler, just kind of discussing his most influential art books that have really impacted him in one way or another. So I thought I'd do something a little bit similar. Now I will say, first and foremost, the majority of these books, all of the books except for one of them, they are all like, they're more like historical, how do I say, like, they're scholarly sort of art books. They're not really how to do art books. I'm not really a big fan of how to do art books. I know there are like a lot of really good ones out there, and there are a few that I plan on getting, but for the most part I'm not really that interested in books on how to do things. I guess I've never really been able to learn much from how to do art books. I'm more of like a hands-on person, or maybe I like to watch a video, or I guess I'm more of a visual person in terms of I have to sort of see somebody doing something or maybe read about it, but I don't really like to look at those art books that are sort of like tutorial based. It just never really worked for me. So if you're looking for those type of art books, I just don't have a whole lot of those, so maybe you could find some of those somewhere else. Artists can recommend those types of books, but these are more like sort of scholarly. Not that I necessarily read all of them, I mostly just look at the pictures and so on and so forth, but they're more like scholarship based and not so much, you know, how to do this or how to do that, how to draw, how to paint. But I do have a couple of those in my collection. But anyway, let's start first and foremost with this Leonardo Da Vinci book. This is in a series, a great series, made by Barnes & Nobles, actually. I don't know if it's not made by Barnes & Nobles, but they sell them at Barnes & Nobles, and they're usually on sale on like the discount rack. Not discount, but like, you know, books that you can get a deal on and whatnot. They're really small, they're easy to carry around, and it's just a wealth of amazing pictures in here. I mean, as you can see, it's just, and it really helps you get into the world of Leonardo da Vinci, obviously, because that's what this particular book is about. And there's really no other, you know, you don't really have to spend a whole lot of money to get really good art books. You can get these really amazing ones that have amazing images in them. And as far as Leonardo da Vinci is concerned, it's just, this book really just kind of really set me down that track of Renaissance art. And whenever I'm just feeling inspired, or whenever I feel like I need to not loosen up per se, but where I need to stop using so many harsh lines in my portraits, or, you know, I need to work on more shading, or I need to work on you know, sfumato like Leonardo da Vinci did, I pull out this Leonardo da Vinci book, and it just really sets me on this track of really wanting to spend, you know, months and months and years on my paintings, you know, as Leonardo da Vinci did. And this book just really helps you to sort of get into that mindset. I mean, I've drawn this probably several times, just trying to figure out how he did this, you know what I mean, and how he layered the paint, and just everything about it is just completely exhilarating. Man, I've got a bookmark on this page. You can, they do these amazing zoomed images. This is one of my favorite Leonardo da Vinci portraits, known as the Portrait of Ginevra da Benci. It's a little bit underrated. I think it's actually cuter and more attractive and a little more feminine than the Mona Lisa herself. And I could probably spend 20 minutes just talking about this book, but I think you guys get the gist. I mean, just amazing book. It's an amazing book. They have one in the same series about Michelangelo. There's another one about Caravaggio, I believe. They have another one about I can't think of his name, Hieronymus Bosch. So it's a great series. This particular one is by Franz Zoller. The complete paintings by Leonardo. If you guys can get your hands on it, it's definitely worth it. It's got some amazing images in it. So secondly, let's delve a little bit into this book that actually is very interesting to read. And it's not too hard to read, but not only is it easy to read, it has amazing images. This is Breakfast with Lucien. This is definitely not the most visually stunning Lucien Freud book, I'll admit that, but it does have enough images to kind of just get you down the Lucien Freud track and just really start inspiring you. And it's got his life story. It's like a biography, but it's got amazing pictures, photographs of Lucien Freud, you know, just kind of hanging around with his assistant David Dawson. But it's also got the majority of his paintings. See if I can find any here. A lot of photographs, like I said. But it's just got these amazing images of Lucien Freud's work. The portrait of Kitty Garman that he did of his, and Lucien Freud, I've drifted slightly away from Lucien Freud in the last year, I would say, but he prior to that, he was pretty much like my main inspiration as an artist, and I still really enjoy his work, although somebody pointed out to me that there's not really a whole lot of love or joy in his work, and I can definitely see where they're coming from. But in terms of how he handled the paint and his studio, like he would just wipe the paint all over his walls, you know, and that's it. Just his whole life, like he just lived and breathed painting. I'm trying to find some more of the images of the paintings here. You know, just this was like more like his early style. He was more like into the existentialism type style stuff. But this book is just really good if you want to just get a sort of an introduction on Lucien Freud. This is a portrait he did of David Hockney, and his portraits are they make they're when you study them, it really just makes you want to paint because of the way he just handled paint. I mean, his stuff is just really stunning. I think he got a little bit clumsy perhaps in his later years because he was just getting old and stuff. But Breakfast with Lucien, man, great book just to kind of set you down the Lucien Freud track. His paintings are extremely bizarre. They're kind of off-putting if you're not really used to him, but he does this amazingly beautiful stuff like this that just, you know, it just really makes you want to paint, and it really makes you want to study people and just really paint from life. So the author is Geordie Gregg. Great book, Breakfast with Lucien. Like I said, they do have other better, you know, more large-scale Lucien Freud picture books if you're more interested in his paintings. But again, this is just a good place to start. It's a kind of a small book, doesn't take up a lot of room. Now this is a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit random in my collection. This is a Japanese book. It's all in Japan. It's how to draw hands, sort of like anime style, but it's actually, it really helps you with realism also. As you can see, I'll show you some of the pictures in here. I mean, it's got these amazing sort of diagrams on how to really study the hands. It's more line based. It's not so much about the shading, but it sort of teaches you how to sort of get the gestures of hands and stuff. It's just a really great book. I don't know who the author is. I don't really know the publisher is on here somewhere, but everything is, I think the publisher is SB Creative actually. All in Japanese, but the book is called How to Draw Hands. You can see that up in English. Up at the top there. And it's a funny story because I actually ordered a Japanese plus-size erotica art book by this old, obscure Japanese artist. Nobody really even knows who he is. But anyway, for some reason, they didn't send me that. Maybe because they didn't have it, or maybe it was a scam or something. I don't know. You got to be careful who you order from on Amazon. But they ended up sending me this book. And I was like, okay, this isn't the right book, but this is really cool. You know, I was super happy to actually get this book. Don't know who the author is. Don't know really what the title is, although it's called How to Draw Hands. And it does have some little anime face tutorials where you can learn how to draw the faces. But it's an amazing book if you want to learn how to draw hands. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Anime, unfortunately, sort of gets a bad rap. You know, people say it's not real art and this and that, but it really is real art, you know. And it's actually a lot more difficult to draw than you would think because it's more like sort of, you know, it's about sort of, they construct the lines first, like the shape of the lines and the angles of the lines are super important, and sort of the shading and all that stuff kind of comes after the fact. It's less important, I guess you could say. So this is, which number are we on here? The fourth book in my collection. This is a more recent one that I got. It's called Erotic Art. And for the sake of YouTube and advertisers and all that, I'm not going to show you the majority of the pictures. It's nothing real raunchy, but they do have some sensual stuff in here. But you know, they've got like just typical stuff like Edward Manet, you know, The Luncheon by Edward Manet. Amazing, like, large print, amazing colors. You know, they've just got this beautiful stuff in here. Just these amazing images, you know, and I paint nudity the majority of the time. Maybe not the majority, but, you know, I do a lot of nude portraits and stuff. So this book, I was browsing through Amazon. I just realized that I had to have this. I didn't even really know what the book looked like, but it got good reviews. And just these amazing images, you know what I mean? It's got so much stuff in here. You know, just these amazing images that just, you know, not only are they sensual but they're also like inspiring. You know, there's so many different styles in here too. You have the real refined sort of classical stuff, but you've got the more rough type of stuff. I mean, look at some of these images. It's not even just women too, it's men also. But I mean, look at this. Like, that's just so simple, but it's so amazingly painted, and just everything about it. It's just, this book is amazing. It's got some amazing sculptures, some amazing, you know, it's just got some amazing stuff in here. So the book is titled Erotic Art. It's by a publisher called Conman. They make a lot of art books, and I think the author is Daniel Kayakal. Just an amazing book. It just, you know, they got the Venus of Urbino by Titian. They've got Michelangelo. They've got, you know, primitive art. Pretty much any type of erotic or I mean, look at this stuff they've got in here. Just like really old, you know, nude paintings from ancient Italy and Pompeii, and just, it's just an amazing book. So again, Erotic Art by Daniel Kayakal. Just, you know, it definitely just gets you in the mood to paint naked people, and that's cool because that's what I like to paint. I like to paint naked people. The fifth book in this collection is called Modern Painting, the Impressionists and the Avant-Garde of the 20th Century. Now this is a really excellent book that sort of starts with sort of what's the time period that it sort of starts? It starts around the time of Goya and the neoclassical painters and whatnot. You know, the early Goya stuff. Just amazing images that this book has in here. It's just really stunning stuff. I mean, look at this. You know what I mean? It's just, you can't get, I mean, look how thick this book is, and it's just an amazing quality book. And it goes all the way from the neoclassical era to, like, you know, this wacky kind of modern type stuff. But I just love the imagery in here. I mean, it's just so inspiring. Anytime I need to just kind of, you know, anytime I feel like stuck in a style or something, or I just feel like I'm being too repetitive or something, you know, this book just really sets me off on this track of just, you know, modern art. And the modern art is controversial, but not only that, you know, the time of when it actually started is controversial, but this book kind of puts it in perspective of what modern art kind of actually is, or is not, rather. You know, it's got the Gustav Klimt stuff in there, which is always inspirational. And it really helps you historically. You know, we got the Edvard Munch. I mean, come on, look at this. This is just an amazing book. You know, if you don't have access to an art gallery, books like this are really, you know, they're so important. You know, they got the Van Gogh stuff in here, and they're really good images too. You know, good biographies, good images, a good selection of artists. I can't tell you how many times I've actually looked through this. You know, it's got this, just this, these amazing, and it's not all like abstract Picasso type stuff. It's like from the start of what they consider modern art, going all the way back to Isles again, Ankh, whatever. What is his name? Jean-Auguste Dominique Ankh, I think, or Isles. I don't even know how to pronounce it. But yeah, just, I mean, you wouldn't think that's modern art, but yeah, I guess according to them, it's modern art. So awesome. It just really just kind of opens up your mindset towards just painting in general. Just an awesome book. Who is the author? Modern Painting. Where is the author here? Modern Painting of the 20th Century. Text and Picture Research by Stefano Zuffi and Francesca Castria. So it's like a dual authorship, but as long as you type in the title Modern Painting the Impressionists and the Avant-Garde of the 20th century. You should be able to find that on Amazon or something. Now, whatever number we're on here, let's delve a little bit into this book. It's called Nude Painting. This is like a really, really old school, I don't even know when this was published, by Michael Jacobs, but I bought this at a secondhand store or something, and it's like, it's almost like a poster book with these amazing images of mostly old Renaissance stuff, but it goes up to the time, to the early modern time period as well, with Picasso, Modigliani, and just, I mean, Peter Paul Rubens. I mean, look at these images, just excellent images, you know. And this, I got this book when I first started delving into oil painting, and I wanted to do like these epic, you know, paintings of voluptuous women and stuff. And this book just really sort of like sets the tone. And I've drawn many images from this book. You know, I've been inspired by so many images from this. It's got, you know, Rembrandt and Giorgione, and just, I mean, look at that image. It's just huge. It's like a giant, you could like hang that up on your wall or something. Just amazing images, you know. Look, it's got the, what's his face? Can't think of his name at the moment. Cezanne. I mean, look at this stuff, just epic. Look at the back cover. This book, Nude Painting by Michael Jacobs. It's really old. It might be even hard to find, but it's just a really great book to really just set you down the track of figure painting or nude painting, whatever it is you're trying to do. And I just really, really adore this book. This book is just fantastic. It just really gets me in the mindset of what I'm trying to do. So next we have this book called the PreRaphaelites by Christopher Wood. Now this is not a scholarly work. It's written by like a museum curator or something like that. But it's just got the right amount of images to just set me off on the track of the PreRaphaelites. And it's like just this magical world of like King Arthur and just all this, you know, these damsels in distress and these setting suns and just these amazing, fantastical, theatrical sort of images. I mean, look at some of the stuff in here. It's really just, I'm trying to find some of the ones that stand out. I mean, just extremely, you know, just sort of theatrical type stuff, you know, just amazing, you know. I mean, look at this type of, you know, Gabriel Rossetti. You know, how can you go wrong with this type of stuff? And even, you know, the PreRaphaelites they have their issues. You know, I mean, they have their problems. They put too much detail in their landscapes, and some of the women's faces looked a little too harsh and manly. But for the most part, I really like what the PreRaphaelites did. You know, they were just incredible, and it's just, this book is just, I mean, look at it. It's just an amazing book if you want to study the PreRaphaelites and whatnot. So the PreRaphaelites by Christopher Wood. If you can get your hands on this book, you definitely won't regret it. It's just really, really fantastic. I mean, look at the colors and some of these images. Just so good. Such a great book. I was really, really immersed in this for quite some time, and I still look at it quite often. So let's move on to Pin-Up Dreams by, it's called the Glamour Art of Ralph Armstrong. Now, Ralph Armstrong, my mother had this book. I didn't really know much about Ralph Armstrong because I didn't grow up in the time of like pin-up magazines and stuff. But this book here is just an amazing look into the work of Ralph Armstrong. Now, I will say I'm not necessarily a fan of like how pretty his pictures are, and all the women are really thin. You know, I don't paint thin women, so I'm not saying that I'm a fan of every single thing that he does. You know, but like, you can't like look at this stuff and just not see the beauty of it. I mean, like, the guy was just a complete genius. He was like an illustrator. You know, he painted from life and just these amazing images. I mean, he captured some amazing, you know, just amazing portraits, you know, like just like this amazing sort of sketchy type stuff he did that was kind of real quick. But then he had this amazing stuff like this down here. I mean, look at this. You know, you just cannot, I mean, it's hard to imagine that somebody actually created that with their hands. Just some amazing images in here of these like old flapper women and type stuff. You know, it's almost kind of dated because you know, the style changes and stuff, but it's just like, I mean, that's just gorgeous. You don't have to be from the time period to like appreciate this, how soft he made the women's faces and just this amazing stuff. And this is actually a really, really fascinating biography too. It's very long-winded and stuff, but it's just, I mean, look at this. That's just, man, that's so cool. You know, I mean, it's so important just to even if you're not aware of the style, or even if you're not a huge fan of the artist, get a book. Get a bunch of books by a bunch of artists that you don't necessarily like, and you'll really grow to appreciate them. I mean, just amazing book. So The Pin-Up Dreams, The Glamorous Art of Ralph Armstrong by Janet Dobson and Michael Woolridge. I can't recommend this book enough. Just to I mean, look at his use of color. I mean, it's just, it's so incredible what this guy did. And he used pastels a lot too. He used pastels, like oil pastels. Now, this book is really awesome, and this book was actually featured in Andrew Tischler's video actually too. Every artist that paints in oils, or any artist in general, you gotta have this book, Sorolla, The Masterworks. This book it really just immerses you in the world of Joaquin Sorolla, and it really just makes you feel like you're, you know, by the beach in the summer and the sun is just bearing down on you. I mean, look at the images that Joaquin Sorolla created. I mean, just these amazing brush scenes. You know, he makes everything look so easy to paint. He was like a Spanish impressionist, or maybe post-impression. I mean, look at this stuff this guy did. It's just incredible. I mean, Joaquin, I remember when I first saw this book at Barnes & Noble's around the time of like my birthday, and I didn't have the money to get it. This was like 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, hey Dad, can you get me this book for my birthday? And he said, yeah. And I was just so grateful to have this book. And I've seen a couple of Joaquin Sorolla's paintings in real life, and you know, it's amazing. You know what I mean? Joaquin Sorolla, he just makes you want to go out and paint, you know, by the water. And so this book pretty much just had all the right images just to kind of set me down the track of landscape painting and just summer, and just Joaquin Sorolla, The Masterworks by Blanca Pons Sorolla. I think that's like his granddaughter or something. Anyway, you've got to get your hands on this book. You will not regret it. They're selling it on Amazon too. I don't think it's too expensive, but it's just a beautiful book. So lastly but not leastly, now let me just say real quick, this is not the entirety of my art collection, but these are just sort of the books that stood out to me. This book is super heavy, it's super big. It's called The Renaissance, 1401 to 1618. So this book spans the early Renaissance to the early Baroque, 1610. The Splendor of European Art by Stefan Zuffi. It's produced by Barnes & Noble's. Excellent book. You can't really see the words on there. But I don't know what the cover looked like because I got this at a secondhand store. But boy, am I glad I did. I mean, look at this book. This is just so incredible. I mean, this book is just packed full of images from the Renaissance. It'll just like, this book will literally blow your mind, and you can't even get through it in like one sitting. You've got to spend like a week on it to really absorb these painters and stuff, and just what they were able to do back then, man, in the Renaissance. I mean, these are like really, really old stuff from like the Byzantine era and whatnot. But this is just like incredible. I mean, look at this stuff. I mean, just these amazing portraits that they were able to come up with. It's incredible. This book is, I mean, it literally just makes your jaw drop looking at some of these old, I mean, it literally goes all the way to Titian. Again, we got Leonardo in there. You know, we've got the Doni Tondo by Michelangelo. I mean, this is just super incredible stuff, you know. You can't go wrong with a book like this. And it goes all the way up to, I mean, look at this sculpture that's in here. Let me see if I can straighten that out a little bit. I mean, look at that. Look at the architecture. I mean, you could do a whole painting just based off of this architecture, you know what I mean? It's so cool. I mean, that's why it's so important to study art from different time periods, you know, because you really do learn a lot. You know, just amazing images in this book. So I definitely recommend this book. It's called The Renaissance by Stefano Zaffuti. But you don't have to get all the books that I'm talking about. You know, collect weird art books. You know, go to secondhand stores, or you know, to go shopping on Amazon, or go to your local bookstore and just pick up art books or artistic books in general that just really speak to you. You know, they don't have to be the grandest books. They don't have to be the most fancy, expensive books. You know, kind of like this. You know, this is like a really tiny Leonardo Da Vinci book, but it's like a gold mine of Leonardo Da Vinci. I mean, it's so amazing. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and we will see you guys in the next video. If there's any art books that you guys will recommend or would recommend, let me know in the comment section. Make sure you guys like this video, and we'll see you guys next time.